Welcome to Tackle the Headline. We're looking outside of your club's best 23 at the moment to the guys who might not be getting a game at the moment but could potentially be in the sights of opposition clubs. Barnesy, take us to the Gold Coast first. If we're thinking Alex Davies, Ned Moyle, these kind of figures?
Yeah, Alex Davies sat down with Damon Hardwick last year. They had a heart-to-heart. He said, I'll stay, I'll work with you, signed a 2-year deal, and he's still playing in the seconds. He's played 9 games in 4 seasons at Gold Coast. Geelong and Collingwood are reported to be interested in him. You've got to question whether he's going to break into that midfield at the moment with Gold Coast, and particularly the way the Suns are playing with their speed on the ball at the moment. They're running hard. He's not quite that kind of player. So he's signed for another year there, so he's going to try and work it out at this stage. But you have to be considering again, would I go and would I get some centre bounce minutes somewhere else?
Yeah, and I think Ned Moyle would be worried. Similarly, signs a new deal, gets games when Jared Witts is out. The first few games of the season, they've only played 2. You know, Witts has been outstanding. He's probably going to play till he's 40. And so there will be massive offers out there again for Ned Moyle. You'll also be looking at Ethan Reid and saying, I wonder if Ethan Reid eventually is a long-term mobile ruckman. So he'd have some concerns right now if he hasn't broken into the senior side, and they're not going to play 2 key rucks, are they? Or 2 rucks, rather. Yeah, I think he'd be having some second thoughts right now, even though he was so keen to be loyal this time last year.
What about the Giants, Ralphie? You've been right across this Lek Alia story and his potential links to Moorabbin. I mean, him, Jake Riccardi is probably another one at the Giants that springs to mind.
Yeah, and Riccardi, of course, had his own suspension, of course, through the Wacky Wednesday stuff, so he put himself behind the 8 ball. Can't say that he's necessarily going to play too. Now, they're playing Keefe, but I think as Aaron Cadman emerges as that, full-time star forward, it's going to be hard for Riccardi. So does he consider a move? Yeah, and Lek Alia, yeah, he just has to move. He's not going to get a game, and if he does, it's only because of injuries. They've got 3 star defenders there. Yeah, you might as well take the money at a club like St Kilda, where you will play every single week for the next 6 or 8 years of your career. That's
right. What about Essendon, Barnesy? I mean, Jayden Laverde's had injury trouble over recent years. He's one. Lewis Hayes, probably another.
Yeah, Lewis Hayes, I think, might be ahead of Jayden Laverde now in that back stocks at Essendon, but we saw neither of them played a little bit earlier in the year when Jordan Ridley was out. Zach Reid is locked in as long as he stays fit. He's playing every week now, it seems. Ben Mackay has to play. Ridley's the 3rd tall. So those 2 are left on the outers. Lewis Hayes has put in a mountain of work. He came as a very, very skinny redhead kid to that club, and he's worked really hard. Every summer he looks even bigger. He looked great this summer, but still is on the outside. Brad Scott said he's still in our plans going into last week, and he didn't get a game there. I think those 2 are going to see the writing on the wall. And if you can get in the market early as a key defender, there's always clubs looking for backup support. So if you can pick the right club, I think a guy like Lewis Hayes at his age, his height, he should be a really good prospect.
He's not really a third defender, is he? He's more of that key position player there. And of course, I've got Ben Mackay and Zach Reid looked outstanding. So yeah, I mean, you'd love to think that he potentially could get that Ridley role, but I don't think that's quite there for him. And at another club, he's going to play as that pillar, that fullback, defending from the square.
Yeah, and on the other hand, we all have said for ages that Zach Reid is stuck in the side as long as he's not injured. At the moment, he's not injured. I'm touching wood here, Essendon fans, so hopefully he stays in, but there's always the chance, isn't there?
What about Hawthorn, Ralphie? When you're riding high at the top of the ladder, it's always a tough side to crack into. There's almost a raft of Hawks that are in this scenario, isn't there?
So Sam Frost, we've talked about him before. You think that he would potentially leave, or will very likely leave, given that he's already been, he's been the sub in 2 of those contests and now he's playing VFL. Henry Hustwaite is the fascinating one. So he's in an interesting position there. 38 possessions, as we saw in the summer documentary. Do you think I could play halfback, coach? Where could I play? So the issue is not that he won't get a chance at some stage, but James Worpel is out of the side. He's still not in at the moment. It's just that he's probably that player who is a bit slower. He's that inside mid who's not a great spreader. They've already got James Worpel. Mackenzie's, not an identical player, but reasonably similar. Connor Nash is a big-bodied inside mid. We know about Jai Newcomb. So I just think, if he forecasts his next 5 years, he's thinking to himself, I'm just not sure that I have that role in that team. I don't think he can play half back. So he's contracted to next year. I'm sure he'd love to stay at that club, but I think he would have his head turned by some big offers for 3- and 4-year deals at clubs that desperately need young inside midfielders of his potential.
Brisbane is another tough team to break into at the moment, Barnesy, and they've got more players returning from off-season surgeries and ACLs in the next few weeks as well. What about Dev Robertson?
Yeah, he will be looking at a sliding doors moment, I think, at the end of 2023. Everybody, including Chris Fagan, expect him to walk out of Brisbane, go to West Coast, back to West Australia, where he's from, sign there. And if he had done that, obviously had some injury issues last year, but if he was fit, he would have played 45 games for West Coast. He would have played every single match for them over the last 2 years. As it stands, he's not really playing for Brisbane at the moment. He doesn't seem to be in their plans right now. I think if he had his time again, he would have gone to West Coast. He wanted to be part of a premiership push. I guess he supported the guys along last year, but right now, I can't see him breaking into that side. With the Ashcroft's coming on, there's always youngsters coming into Brisbane.
Yeah, and I think we can all be critical of him, and we have been. But you think that Kyle Lohmann had a very similar decision. The Western Bulldogs were very keen on him, other clubs including Essendon. He stays, he wins a premiership, he signs a fat deal. And so Dev would have hoped that was his story. It wasn't. He probably missed the mark, and now clubs are thinking, okay, there's probably other midfielders ahead of him. It's a tough time for Dev Robinson.
What about the Western Bulldogs? Buku Khamis looked like he was just about all Australian on Friday night, didn't he? But what does it mean for one of the best names in footy, Jed Buslinger?
I think that Jed is going to have interest from rival clubs. Again, he's someone who's signed up. He's someone that would see his future at the Western Bulldogs. But Buku looks fantastic. James O'Donnell is such a great young player, but in a team with key defenders that they pushed him forward. Spoke to Liam Jones on whatever night it was, and he's like, no, I want to play on for the next couple of years. So it's not like Liam Jones is going to retire anytime soon, even though I think he's 34 years of age. So if you're Jed, you're a first-round pick. You think there's a few ahead of you, and even if you think, do I want to wait for 2 more years, all of a sudden for Rory Lobb and for Liam Jones to retire? Yeah, he's a West Coast boy or WA boy. I think again for a club like West Coast, which needs key position defenders, they'll be considering Jed Buslinger.
Take us to the end here, Josh Barnes. See us out with Collingwood with Ed Allen. Where's he at?
Ed Allen.
Ed Allen, everyone was talking him up pre-season. I think Ralphie wrote a few positive articles about him. I think Nick Dacos said he's the most talented youngster we have in the club. Played round 1, was dropped. And I guess you can say it was dropped for good reason. Collingwood's had an uptick since he's left the team. You can't blame him specifically for them falling completely against GWS. But they're not missing him, Collingwood, at the moment.
Not with Ned Long playing, just outstanding pressure football as well. And an interesting one too with Harry Perriman. Not getting a lot of the football, but a brilliant defensive runner who just slots himself in the gaps perfectly, caught into the pies as well. So just one for the Collingwood fans who might want to criticise him, even though he's on 900 grand. The club loves what he's doing from a strategic point of view.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will stay well across what those guys are up to, and of course, which opposition clubs are looking at them. That's it for us. Tackle the Headline. We'll see you next time.